Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, off Motor City Madmouth. We're on with Rick Curti. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, guys. How are you?
All right, and Dave Hodges. What's a good word tonight, Mr. Hodges?
A little chilly up here. I was at the job earlier and wore shorts and a polo shirt, and I was downright cold come 5:30.
Oh, sure was.
Thank God we don't have the visual of what legs look like, although I can't remember the last time I wore shorts at all because nobody would want to look at my legs anyways. But I'll have a little bit of legs because the last broadcast we're going to do until we have an election tomorrow night. So then we'll do another one after the election. With that said, okay, since it is a baseball show, we're going to lead off, okay, with the 70s theme. Tony La Russa, 76 years of age, hired by the Chicago White Sox. But let's stay with the 70s theme for a moment, okay? Joe Biden, who's running against Donald Trump to become the next president, will be 78 years of age on November 20th, 2020. And Donald Trump is age 74. He turned 74 on June 14th, 1946. So, 70s theme is wild. I don't know whether I should ask you for a prediction of the Biden-Trump thing, so I won't, in order to make sure that this broadcast doesn't run 9 million hours longer than it has to. But let's talk about the hiring of Tony La Russa for the Chicago White Sox. Does he fall into that category, over the hill and through the woods? And no, I'm not going to get a Memorex thing for singing here. ... Can Tony La Russa make a successful return to the dugout? Rick Curti, let me know.
No, I don't understand this hire. I don't know why Tony La Russa is doing this. He has nothing to prove. He's a Hall of Fame manager. Maybe he's bored. That's the only thing I could think of. The White Sox, I don't know what Kool-Aid they're drinking. They think they're like a World Series contender. They're not. They're probably mediocre at best. I know he's a coach for the White Sox. You know, it's his first, maybe he wants to go there and redeem himself. Maybe they're giving him a cash load of money. I don't understand why he's doing this. He's 76 years old. This is like a win now mentality for the White Sox. I don't see them winning it now. So I just think that this is a sort of I'm just scratching my head on this move on this. I didn't see this coming, and I don't think it's a great hire at all.
Well, we're 2,700 wins, so for all I know, maybe there's a milestone called 3,000 wins. Maybe that might incentivize it a little bit. And to be able to get 3,000 wins in the major leagues isn't a bad feat to accomplish if you've been around the game long enough to do it. But, yeah, I got to tell you, Rick, I am a little surprised at the hire myself. But I don't know. But the only thing I'll guarantee is the Hall of Fame has already indicated that they will not change his plaque. He goes in with the total of his accomplishment when he was inducted. So, Dave Hodges, what's your take on Tony La Russa coming out of retirement to sit in the dugout?
I was a little surprised at this myself. To be, approaching, the 80-year-old mark, I agree with what Rick said. He's got nothing left to prove in the game of baseball. It'll definitely put some people in the seats, once the pandemic is over and, fans can start coming back in. It's going to be quite a different, he's going to have that old school mentality. He's had some great players over the years. I'm not saying there aren't great players on the White Sox, but it's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve. He's going to have to, learn to deal with players that are very young. And, of course, and players going to have to, learn to, accept a manager, of his age, and not say that someone that's, mid 40s, or approaching 50. I don't see them winning, I could see them getting into the playoffs. I don't see them winning a World Series title anytime soon, not even in the next, call it 3 to 5 years, depending on how La Russa, how long he wants to stay in the dugout. And, of course, he was quoted as saying, my heart is always in the dugout. But, and unless, the White Sox just, they feel like they need a kind of like a little injection of celebrity here, so to speak, kind of appease the fans. And, they say, sorry, okay, well, maybe, we won't have to go into the, into the minor leagues, coaching ranks to, to pull in a manager to bring up here. Unless that was the mentality when contacting Tony La Russa, like Rick said, let's say threw just a boatload of money at him, he shouldn't need the money. as long as he's been in the game. I was surprised, but I think he's going to make a decent project out of this, and I'm kind of intrigued to see where it's going to go.
Well, I don't think he's going to go back in the game and embarrass himself. I mean, the bottom line is he better have analytics guys as his right and left hand man. He better be able to acclimate, because remember, at 76 years of age, you can be managing not only your kids but your grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
So the age differential is definitely wild. I don't think he's going to embarrass himself, but he better have one good coaching staff, that's for sure, if he even has a puncher's chance to even go ahead and be successful in Chicago. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf has been known to bring people in from the past. Doug Collins, he brought him back in when, to be a part of the front office with the Bulls. So he has a sense of loyalty to old employees. In fact, he still employs Ozzie Guillen, I believe, somewhere along the line, buried in the backward. So, but I'm talking about loyalty. That's the only thing I'm going here with that. But, I don't know about the Tony La Russa hire, but he's been a winner, and maybe he feels he has some unfinished business only to the fact that he won with the St. Louis Cardinals as well as the Oakland A's. Well, let's see if they can win in Chicago. We'll see how it goes. All right, well, I know one guy who's been adamant on social media against his hire, so I'm going to lead off with him right now. A.J. Hinch, 46 years of age, getting hired by the Detroit Tigers. I don't know about you, but I do believe in second chances, but apparently Rick Curti doesn't, does he?
No, I mean, there's an old saying, once a cheater, always a cheater. And he didn't do anything with Arizona when he was there. He actually did a horrible job. He got fired. And then he goes to Houston, and he looks like Sparky Anderson. Well, of course he does, because they're cheating. Astros have never been, went to a World Series one time in their franchise. And then all of a sudden they go to 2 World Series in like 5 years and win the World Series. And then it's, oh, yeah, they're cheating. And then he gets fired. And, I mean, to me, it's just that, I wouldn't have hired him. I wouldn't have even interviewed him. To me, he shouldn't even be managing anymore for what he did. It was an embarrassment to the league. It's an embarrassment to the organization. And it's not like he got caught. That's all it was. He got caught. It wasn't like he confessed and, just said, you know what, I've been doing something wrong. He got caught, and he got fired, and he's lucky that he got a new job. I was surprised that he got hired so quickly. I thought maybe in 2 or 3 years, when they kind of died down a little bit, he would get another job. But apparently he got a job right away. And will he do anything in Detroit? I don't think so. But he'll be really scrutinized and looked at. So I hate the hire.
Well, all right, Dave, what do you have to counter that?
Well, I agree with Rick on the premise that he got a job so quickly. This is definitely going to be a litmus test for him. He's as Rick said, he's going to be under a microscope on this job. He didn't have the success in Arizona. He probably wouldn't have had success in Houston without without them cheating. And if I'm the hiring committee up there in Detroit, I'm going to say to him, we're watching you. It's a very proud organization. It's one that's been around for, Lord, 100 years or more.
Right.
I mean, Scott, you being from Detroit, and
right,
and I feel like this is going to be it for him. If he doesn't succeed in Detroit, I don't ever see him getting another managerial job. He might, he might be on the staff of, another baseball team, and he might just kind of work the circuit around Major League Baseball, or, maybe he might get maybe one, a second chance to redeem himself down in the minor leagues. But I mean, I was a little surprised at this one, just at the fact how quickly it happened. But I do believe it's make or break time with A.J. Hinch with this job. And as I said moments ago, if he doesn't succeed in Detroit, I don't see how another club would even put him in their top 10 of candidates to interview for jobs, say, in the next 5 to 10 years.
See, now, even though I'm from Detroit, and there probably is a little Detroit bias here, and I get that, General Manager Al Avila already indicated that he was a candidate from the outset. He did. So, therefore, I'm not surprised. Here's what you have. Yes, he was definitely a part of, arguably, one of the biggest cheating scandals ever in the game of baseball. I get that. I understand it. And obviously, this hire will be scrutinized. But he's 46 years of age. He did win nonetheless. Okay, a lot of years, and unfortunately, the cheating obviously overshadowed his other accomplishments. But he is young. He's an analytics guy, and he's working with younger players. So when you try to incorporate a younger, and of course, I like the fact that he used to be a former catcher because yours truly here was a former catcher, and catchers make pretty good managers. There's a guy by the name of Curti I don't know about, Mike Sosha, because you've been drinking that Kool-Aid for a while. So, but there's no, nod your head, Curti, okay, I get it. Okay, but with all due respect, that if he doesn't succeed in Detroit, I know he's not going to manage anymore. But they gave him a multi-year contract with this group, and the Tigers, you know, we saw a couple of prospects, Tyrek Skobel and Casey Mize, and they have a lot of good young players waiting in the wings, and they probably feel where the Tigers are at organizationally might be close to where the Houston Astros are when they turn the corner, and I think that's where a lot of people are hoping that this move will pay off for them. I really do. Yes, a historical franchise with a really great history for sure. But again, I do believe he gets second chances, and he's definitely going to be getting one. And I know from what I was looking at with the pressers with Chris Ilitch and El Avila, that they obviously did their due diligence and made sure that during the interview process that they were very thorough before they went ahead and made this hire. I can tell you one thing. This is the type of hire that Mike Ilitch would have made. He was always one of those types of people that liked high-profile hires. Case in point, Scotty Bowman was a high-profile hire. Case in point, Jim Leland was a high-profile hire. This is as close to a high-profile hire as Chris Ilitch is going to get. So I believe he should have a second chance. I hope he makes the best of it. But I do agree with you. If he doesn't get it straightened out in Detroit, it's anybody's guess where he'll wind up from there. Let's segue over to another guy who potentially could get another chance too, Alex Cora. Now, all the candidates are looking. He gets a year off, one with the Red Sox, and he may very well be returning to Fenway Park sooner than we think. And with all due respect to A.J. Hinch, he was suspended for 1 year and he served his penalty, so he was eligible to come back. So back to Alex Cora, return to Boston. All right, Rick, I have a feeling, well, I know what Kool-Aid you're going to drink, so let your nonverbal and body language of the old head noggin. Okay, because after all, this is visual these days.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with baseball. I don't know if they're hiring, as a degenerate manager hire week or something going on. I mean, you got great managers out there like Mike Sosha, and you got all these young managers out in the minor league level who need to be given opportunities, and organizations are looking at cheaters like A.J. Hinch and Alex Cora, the biggest cheater of them all, because he played for the Dodgers. He was with the Astros, and by the way, the Red Sox were cheating too. And he happened to be at both places that were both cheating. So what a coinkydink that is. I mean, this is beyond stupidity. Why the Red Sox want to do this is beyond me. Bring more controversy towards them. They're already looking like idiots by getting rid of Mookie Betts, who's probably going to be the NL MVP. And they're a mess right now, and now they're going to bring a bigger mess in a bigger spotlight by bringing back Alex Cora. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's terrible. It's bad, and it doesn't look good at all. And it's kind of just showing people, and especially young people out there, that hey, I can cheat, get away with it, take a year off, and I'll probably be back and make more millions of dollars. So to me, it's just a bad precedent for younger people to see that, you cheat, you get busted, but you're going to come back anyway. So, hey, I'll do it too. So I just think it's terrible.
All right, Dave, can you top that argument?
I can try, but I probably won't. Yeah, to me, it just sets a bad example. Sports, obviously, for kids growing up, it's, about getting out of the house, getting away from the video games, get out, get active. You learn the camaraderie, and, you see guys just get basically, slap on the wrist, for certain acts that, happen, and across all leagues. I mean, I remember, what was it, a year or two ago, and, the kid from Duke, Grayson, whenever somebody would make him look bad on the court, he would trip him.
Grayson Allen, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then Coach K will come out and say, well, he's suspended indefinitely. How many games was he suspended for? One game. And to me, and that's where parents would have to step in and say, when you get to the adult level, it's not like what it is, when you're younger. But I'm not. If Cora goes back to the Red Sox, they had they were a dumpster fire last year under Ron Renicky, but as I've said in past broadcasts, I'm sure a lot of teams are going to get a pass just obviously because of the pandemic. And I mean, obviously Renicky didn't because he lost his job up there, but there's got to be other candidates out there. I mean, obviously we talked about Mike Scioscia over the past couple of weeks, and I agree. I think it's just going to. Well, I guess what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's going to do more harm than good. If Cora is back in the Fenway dugout, and and again, Boston, obviously another proud story, team across the pantheon of American sports. There's got to be other people out there than those that were involved in this cheating scandal, and don't just limit your search to 1 to 2 to 3 people. See who else is out there, and and you never know, you could find that diamond in the rough.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, I'm not opposed to Cora getting rehired by Boston, but bear in mind though, the one thing that will be different is he won't have David Price. He won't have Mookie Betts. Mm-hmm. And with all due respect, the cover is going to be very bare with a lot of the players that were there. Now, Chris Sale's was out for the year because of arm surgery, and they had a myriad of injuries. So he's not going to be given the same cast of characters that allowed him to win a World Series. But, but I have a feeling the Red Sox will probably expand their pool of candidates. So this is a story that's anything but clear cut. It really isn't compared to what happened in Detroit. So, I know a guy that's out there, maybe that diamond in the rough could be coming from Los Angeles named George Lombard, who we talked about in a past broadcast. And I know that there's other candidates out there. Those are just a couple that's come to mind. Don Kelly has been linked to the job too from Pittsburgh, and he's a utility player who actually I think could be a good manager at some point. So, but this is a story that we'll definitely be talking about in the next week or two and see how it plays out. But again, I'm going to stay consistent. Does he deserve a second chance? Yeah. Is he likely to get it? He'd probably get it in Boston because he has a World Series title at least. But where it goes is anybody's guess. But we'll stay in Boston, and let's talk about Bobby Bonilla. Then again, let's don't talk about Bobby Bonilla. Then again, let's talk about Bobby Bonilla. Then again, let's not talk about Bobby Bonilla. And we'll talk about J.D. Martinez now instead, because he's not opting out of his contract. 2 years remaining, $38.7 million. He signed a 5-year deal, $110 million in February of 2018. Dave Dombrowski handed him that contract. Scott Boras is his agent. J.D. Martinez is smarter than anybody because he knew he had a subpar year last year, and why get out of a contract that's paying him that much with $38 million? So how does J.D. Martinez look in this whole thing, Hodges?
Well, I mean, he definitely looks like, obviously he's, the wiser one, of this. And, obviously when you have an agent like Scott Boras, he's going to make all his guys look good. I mean, everybody knows, how, good of an agent he is. And, and he's like a pit bull. He will not stop. I mean, if, he thinks his client is worth, X amount of millions of dollars, he's not going to go to the table, depending on, what player and what team it is, and he's not going to walk away until he's happy. So, like I said, J.D. Martinez, didn't have the best of years, but I think he looks like a prince in this one.
Rick?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the great thing about Major League Baseball. These are guaranteed contracts. So he can blow out a knee. He's still going to get every single penny. It's not like the NFL. These are guaranteed contracts. You're going to hit 196. He's still going to make millions and millions of dollars. And so he should be a very, very happy person. I know Scott Boras is. And and he knows that the Red Sox are a complete mess. and in disarray, and there'll probably be a bigger one if they bring back Alex Cora. So, hey, I'm making millions of dollars playing a game. I don't even have to play that good. I mean, it is what it is, but they're guaranteed contracts, and good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, hey, like you guys are right. More power to him. Bear in mind, Scott Boras also represents Max Scherzer as well, and millions of other, and who knows how many other great players are going to land in there. But J.D. Martinez definitely, I mean, you got $38.75 million, and you're playing in a hitter's ballpark like Fenway, and 81 of your games will be played there. Then the average won't be as bad over a sustained period than it would have been during a COVID-19 pandemic type of year. But more power to JD, more power to him at all. And 5-year, $110 million. Let's not kid yourself. Dave Dombrowski always paid veterans a lot of money. He can think a lot of veteran players will be always thankful for Dave Dombrowski for paying him good money before he ended up moving elsewhere. So if I were Dave Dombrowski, I'm sure he's probably getting a lot of good Christmas cards. So.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about one more subject, but this one's going to be worth every bit of the remaining of the part of the broadcast. I'm going to go over a bunch of numbers here, okay, and then we'll break it down. Giancarlo Stanton is keeping the remaining $218 million, 7-year guaranteed years, then opting out after a pair of injury-riddled seasons. Last year, he hit 250 with 4 home runs, 11 RBI in 2020. Now, let's talk about the inside numbers again. So he's going to go ahead and remain with the Yankees. And I'll tell you what, why not? We'll break the numbers down. In 2014, he agrees to a $325 million contract for 13 years with the Miami Marlins in November 2014. Now, here's what we've got, okay? He's due $29 million in each of the next 2 seasons, $32 million from 2023 to 2025, $29 million in 2026, $25 million in 2027. The deal includes a $25 million club option for 2028 with a $10 million buyout. So if they don't want to pay him, the rest of it, he's getting $10 million just to walk away. Now, it goes a little further. As part of the terms, since he didn't opt out, the Miami Marlins are on the hook for $30 million, $5 million each on July 1st and October 1st in 2026, 27, and 28. Miami received second baseman Starlin Castro, right-handed pitcher Jorge Guzman, and minor league infielder Jose Devers. There you go, guys. Those are the numbers. I mean, you know what? When you have a guy with an injury-riddled history anyhow, you might as well go ahead and take your $218 million, keep it in your pocket, and you know he's not going to opt out anyways. Bear in mind, he's with the Yankees. It's a hitter's-friendly park, and he's going to DH the whole time. So we'll talk about Giancarlo Stanton, okay, and then we're going to bring up Miguel Cabrera before we wrap up the broadcast. Who wants to lead off with this one?
I'll do it. This is such a difficult decision for Giancarlo to do. It's I'm sure he was couldn't sleep all night thinking, should I take the $218 million or just walk away? Well, of course he's going to keep it. He's not going to opt out. He'd be an idiot if he did. And the guy strikes out all the time. He has a poor batting average, and he's always hurt. And he's going to get paid. He's set for life already. So, I would do it too, and like you said, he's in a hitter ballpark. He's with the Yankees. They're always going to be in the playoffs, because he likes to spend money. That's always with them is World Series or bust, so he can stay there and win a World Series. It's a win-win situation for him. And like I said, these are guaranteed contracts, so he can blow out a knee and he can sit out the whole season. He'll still get all his money. So it's not much of a difficult decision for him to decide what to do.
Yeah, Derek Jr. knew what he was doing when he got rid of that contract. Do you think he's worried about $30 million over what that contract was all about, knowing that he found a taker with the Yankees? Nothing wrong with doing business with your old team, especially when you're trying to rebuild an organization and get rid of some dead money, because that's exactly what that was to them. Giancarlo Stanton wasn't going to get make the Miami Marlins competitive or contenders for a while. So I think Jeter got the best he could get in return with the three players I just mentioned. Of course, and how many other franchises could have afforded it? Maybe Boston Red Sox, or maybe the Dodgers, and we know the Yankees could have with their mega TV deal that they have locally with the Yes Network and all that money that they have in their pocket, let alone a brand new stadium. So there, Jeter, I think it was one of those deals which was really a win-win for both teams. The Marlins, they don't care about eating $30 million over that contract, and the Yankees get a player with star power. But yeah, there's no question he made the right move to keep that $218 million in his pocket. No, well, he'll probably never have to play the field again. Just be a designated hitter for the Yankees. All right, Hodges, go ahead. What's your take on it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that kind of money, it really is a no-brainer. I mean, like you say, he's got the star power. He's being in that ballpark. And you again, you don't, like y'all said, he doesn't have to go out into the field, designated hitter. Why wouldn't he? Hopefully, some of the injuries, now that, the season's over, he can sit, heal them up, and, and he can, if he chooses, or, if he even wants to get back in the field, why not? I mean, if he can get healthy, then, and like I say, he's going to be receiving all kinds of money for, at least the next decade to come. I mean, there's teams out there that, they have players still on payroll that, haven't, put on spikes in, 5 to 10 years. I mean, I remember even watching a broadcast years ago where Marquise Grissom, he was still getting paid by the Dodgers, and he'd been out of the league for, years and years. So, I mean, yeah, it's that kind of money. I'm sure he's, sleeping like a baby, with a smile on his face. But yeah, I mean, he's set. Stanton's got it made.
Well, I mean, when people look at these enormous contracts, talk about Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, that you hope and pray you get a lot of value for them on the front end, that they're in their star power they can produce. Unfortunately, the thing that Miguel Cabrera has in common with Giancarlo Stanton, a lot of wear and tear on them, and they're getting hurt. So the back end of those contracts look atrocious. They really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, and then they bite you. So you have to try to make the best of them. And in most cases, you have players that are not even tradable by the time you get around to doing it. So you have to make the best of what you have. So, what can I tell you? I mean, Giancarlo Stanton, to me, is a heck of a player. He's in a hitter's friendly ballpark. He really, really is.
Mm-hmm.
But will he be able to play enough games to justify what you've got? And that to me,
Yankees better hope so. I mean, you're going to pay someone that kind of money. You better hope you get, their best years out of them, and so that you don't come up looking like a donkey. Once the contracts are up, and then you got all the fans, and of course that brutal New York media saying, what were you doing giving this guy, all kinds of money when, if he's, like I said, he's had all these injury riddled seasons, and you're just throwing money at the guy. And I mean, there's plenty of other good hitters around him. So I mean, yeah, that may be why they justified paying him all this money. When you've got the Aaron Judges out there on on your in your lineup as well. Again, when healthy, then yeah, it's the opposing pitchers might say, the lesser of the two evils. Who would you rather pitch to, Giancarlo Stanton or Aaron Judge? And a lot of them say, I'd rather pitch to Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, that makes sense because, number one, he's very the one-dimensional. Either you hit or you hit a home run or you strike out. So it's all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of a former Milwaukee Brewer player by the name of Rob Deere. I think Rick knows him pretty well, right?
I remember he had 25 home runs one year and had a 133 batting average.
Right, and struck out a lot. So, but I'm not just thinking.
Dave Kingman. He reminds me of Dave Kingman. They hit these moonshot home runs, but then they have like a 225 batting average, and and him and Judge are they're like mirror images of each other. That's why I think that's a bad combination for those two, because all you got to do is throw them a breaking ball or something. They'll chase it and they'll strike out. So, I mean, they're the same. Big home runs, long home runs, but struck out way too much with a low batting average. And they don't have a lot of RBIs. You know, they hit like 40, 50 home runs, but they have like 90 RBIs or 80 RBIs. Right. So a lot of those are solo home runs. So to me, it's just money wasted. But the Yankees got all the money in the world, so why not?
Yeah, well, again, it comes down to big market versus small market, and there's only a handful of teams that can take on that kind of money, and they're obviously one of them. So, Dave Hodges, you haven't had a chance to talk about the World Series finale. Rick did, but we'll let you go back to talk about it for a moment, Rick, on this broadcast. So, what are your thoughts about how the World Series ended, David? Yeah, obviously the Dodgers, dispelled their critics. They finally broke a 32-year drought. I know there was some second guessing going on with the way the Blake Snell situation was handled, with some overthinking by Kevin Cash. But the Dodgers beat the Rays in 6, 4-2. Some thoughts on the World Series, Dave?
Well, definitely very happy for the Dodgers. That's a team I've always rooted for. One of several, and like I said a couple times in this broadcast, another storied franchise, obviously, of course, dating back to their days in Brooklyn. And, I'm definitely happy for them, happy for the fan base. Another championship, comes to Los Angeles. So now, they can, tap champagne glasses with the LA Lakers and, and celebrating championships. And, obviously happy for Dave Roberts. He saved his job down there in Tinseltown. So, because obviously, if they lose that series, he's out the door. And, but yeah, I'm happy for Clayton Kershaw. Always been a big fan of his, since he's been in the league. And, it's, he was, and like I say, he was able to, that team able to dispel some critics, exercise some demons. And, of course, they could have been celebrating a couple of years earlier had, the Astros not had trash cans in the dugouts. But, I'm very happy for the Dodgers. It's hopefully, many more are to come, and they're only going to build on this. And, hopefully, and, of course, it's always sad when, you can't celebrate with your fans in the stands, or, you have, the big parades, but, they won a championship. They should be happy. Fans should be happy. And, I'm just happy all around for the organization and the franchise.
Rick?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles. I remember when they last won the World Series, when Kirk Gibson hit that home run off of Dennis Eckersley. And at that time, the A's were like, they were like the Dodgers, always in the World Series, always, they won the World Series there, and always came up short in a couple of them. And that was a magical year because no one expected the Dodgers to win it. Everyone thought it was going to be the A's in the sweep. And the Dodgers beat them, and so it was about time. I've been calling the Dodgers the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball because they've come up short so many times, especially last season, which was an absolute choke job, winning your division by 21.5 games, setting a record for most wins in your franchise, going all the way to Brooklyn. They totally took that monkey off their back this season. Dave Roberts got his job. I've been saying to people, I wish they would get Mike Scioscia, but no, Dave Roberts needs to keep his job because he won a World Series. Can't get fired for winning a World Series. So he's done a great job there. And Kershaw has kind of gotten that ghost off his back as being a great regular season pitcher, but in the playoffs or World Series comes up very, very short. And so a lot of that stuff went away. I'm happy for the Dodgers. And I'm just happy for that they won, and now they joined the Lakers, and we'll see what happens. I don't think the Rams will be winning one, or the Chargers, so they're going to be holding on to to those titles for a while. So, and I don't know about the LA Kings in hockey. So but it's good to see multiple championships in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, the Rams had their work cut out for them when they lost to the Miami Dolphins yesterday at Joe Robbie Stadium. Let me point out a couple of other things. You said a lot there, Rick. The Dodgers obviously winning in 1981 when you had the strike situation. doesn't matter. A World Series is a World Series no matter how you do it, because there were certain challenges that it took to get in there. Nobody compromises the nature of the postseason. So they won in 81, and of course they followed up in 88 under a normal campaign. And then this year was just a complete unprecedented situation that they earned their way with the amount of games they had to play in a row with all the really crazy rules. But I think the one thing that people can't lose sight of with Dave Roberts is this. He's the second black manager ever to win the World Series and the first Asian to do it. And when you put things in perspective with the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for the Dodgers organization. So it's only fitting that an African-American manager wins it for Los Angeles. Now, we obviously know about the Ted Koppel situation that led to the Al Campanis' reputation becoming destroyed. I'm not going to get into a full-blown detail on that. And I did have a chance to meet Al Campanis in the 81 winter meetings, and Ted Koppel gave him every opportunity to get out of it. Didn't happen. Poor guy lost the job after 40 years. But it is a nice fitting ending, though, that Dave Roberts, did win a title being an African-American for the Dodgers. But I am really happy for the Dodgers. I will tell you right now that the Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers was the last sporting event that I saw with my wife before the pandemic occurred over at Camelback Ranch. And then again, I reiterate, they played the Milwaukee Brewers. So it was kind of neat to see Mookie Betts at a press conference, hang out with the Dodgers at Camelback Ranch. I've always had a tremendous fondness for that organization because of the way Tom Lasorda has always treated me. The Dodgers have always given me credentials over the years, dating back to their days during spring training over in Vero Beach, Florida, at Dodger Town, and I hope to eventually get the Dodger Stadium down there in LA. And of course, I'm a member of Southern California Sports Broadcasters. So, I feel like I have some Southern California ties as well. So kudos to the Dodgers. They earned it. And now every critic that is on their case, see you later. Is that what Bob Carpenter would say when he says goodbye to a home run? See you later. All right. But meanwhile, this concludes this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Manmouth, joined by Rick Curti and David Hodges. We're going to keep the broadcast going even during the off season. We'll be talking more transactions. And, of course, Dave and Rick will also be rotating from time to time when we do the sports exchange on alternate nights. So we'll keep you posted as well. So with that said, okay, David Hodges, why don't you lead off, and then Rick, and then I'll wrap up the broadcast.
Yeah, you can contact me through Facebook, Dave Davino Hodges, Davino. Huge fan of soccer. Love the history of sport, and especially those past Brazilian teams, and they all seem to have nicknames that end in INHO. So kind of gave myself a little soccer nickname. So again, on Facebook, Dave Davino Hodges, and I'm also on Twitter at Dave Talks Sports. And you can let us know what you think of the program or some topics you'd like us to broach on some future broadcasts, and we'd love to hear from you.
Rick?
My website is www.charlottebats.com. My Facebook is Charlotte MLB. You can also contact me there at Charlotte Bats Baseball. I have an email address. It's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm also on Instagram as Charlotte Bats, and you can also find me on LinkedIn under Rick Curti, Curti, and you can contact me on any of those social media websites.
Yeah, Rick does a phenomenal job helping us at South Florida Tribune, making sure that all of our content gets on social media, and we as well as a broadcast. So I want to give our obvious thanks to Rick day in and day out for helping us, making sure that everything that we put out there, he gets it to as many of his followers. We are definitely grateful. All right, as far as we're concerned, you can follow us here, the South Florida Tribune, on Twitter at Tribune South. That's the @ Tribune South. Facebook and Instagram, South Florida Tribune. YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. Please subscribe to that. I'll give you 6 good reasons why you should subscribe to the Sports Exchange, No Limits, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Real and the Rare, Fantasy Football, and the South Florida Tribune Podcast. So please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com. We have a section in there called the Motor City Monitor, where we talk about Michigan sports, state of, as well as southeastern Detroit sports. Obviously, my hometown, I'd like to promote that as well. We also have our affiliates columns and our contributors columns, meaning our distribution partners as well as the regular columnists. And you can also find our broadcast on southfloridatribune.com as well under the WSAN dropdown. So there's lots of different ways to find the broadcast. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can find them there. Our email address is southfloridatribune@gmail.com. So as David Hodges mentioned, anything you need to do to give us suggestions, ideas, feedback, we certainly encourage you to do that. And if we find out there's one that you have out there, we'll be more than happy to mention your name on the air. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Scott Morganroth. Now, if you want to go ahead and listen to the audio version of the broadcast, you can do so through Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. I'll go with it again. Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. So there's a lot of different ways to get it. Just choose the way for what you want to do it. All right, Rick, give a COVID message, please.
So, things are surging. It's actually not getting any better. It's getting worse. People, please wear your mask. Please social distance. Wash your hands. Stop going to parties. Stop going and to crowded places. Going to crowded birthday parties or anything like that. That stuff is, can wait. It's an inconvenience and it stinks. But it's all about being safe out there, being courteous to other people by wearing a mask. And, and also, people are not really happy with, or, some people may be happy with what's going on with our country right now. Go vote. Very, very important thing to do is go vote. Takes, whoever you vote for, don't matter. Just vote, get your voice heard, because, that's how you get your voice heard is by voting. And so if you're not happy with what's going on, or if you're happy with what's going on, just vote. It's very simple, and wear your mask and social distance and just be respectful of others.
I know what I'll be doing tomorrow night, hanging out at home with my wife, following the election results. There's no question that this is the most important election in American history. I think we can all agree on that. We're not giving predictions about who we're going to vote tonight. That's not what this broadcast is all about. All I know is it's important that if you ever want to go out there and make an impact in this country, now is the time to do that. So we want to thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thanking you, Rick Curti and Dave Hodges, for another fine episode. And we will do this again. Stay tuned for our next episode of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So good night, Rick. Good night, Dave. And thanks, everybody, for listening to us tonight.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.